I bought this 2016 Corvette Z06 and I like the car a lot. Before I bought it, I studied and researched them a lot on the internet. One thing I found out that is these big sticky tires, especially when it's really warm outside, they have a knack of picking up anything and flinging it back along the edge of the car. And this part of the car back here really gets peppered. And GM, to their credit, from the factory, has put some paint protection on up in this area, this area, this area. I think it's 3 separate pieces. I pulled all 3 of those off and put a single piece of, I think it was called Clear Shield from Scotch or something like that, to kind of get the whole area protected better while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And one thing I learned too was these ducts down here, they really get peppered. And what a lot of guys are doing is taking black electrician's tape and protecting those edges while they figure out what they're going to do. And that's what I've got on here now, and it does a great job. So once I get these rockers installed, I'll take off the clear shield that's there now. It's all up along the car. It's on the this part of the door, not up there. But one thing that I found from driving through puddles and whatever is that area of the car takes a lot of hits from the front tires. So I bought a set of side rockers from ACS Composite, and I got them in the carbon flash metallic paint, so they match the parts that are on the car very well. And I'm just putting together my scheme to get these installed on the car. From ACS, they supply pulled rivets, and these longer ones that are meant to go in the side over there, and then these short ones that are meant to go from the bottom up as well. So there's places where I've got white tape on here, and that's just to be able to show you that there are several places where factory fasteners go in those holes. They're I think 7mm screws that you get underneath the car, take them out, and then put that piece back up there. So that'll kind of line everything up for us well. I'm not too thrilled about putting blind rivets or pulled rivets in through these holes. That will be along this area of the car down here. And so if for whatever reason I ever decided to take these off, I'd have those holes to deal with, and you'd either have to fill them with a fiberglass putty and then repaint it, or a screw or something. So I'm going to try using 3M double-sided tape along that edge and use the blind rivets on the bottom. So this is the blind rivet I'll be using, and kind of to simulate the assembly here. So there's the blind rivet. This little piece of white colored plastic is kind of to simulate the body panel as well, and then you'll pull that rivet, and I'm thinking that I'm probably going to use a backup washer or something like that on top of the whole thing, so that the rivet doesn't bulge against the body panel, but instead bulges against that piece of stainless steel washer there as well. And I've got to have enough of the rivet protruding above that to actually allow it to do its work. So I'll be figuring all that stuff out before I get ready to put them underneath the car. Tool-wise, you don't need a lot to do this job. Here's a handy little tool. It's a air-powered right-angle drive drill, so it'll let me get down underneath the car pretty well. So another way of solving that would be to maybe just run up on some taller blocks, or find a little depression in the ground or whatever to get yourself enough room underneath the car to do some drilling if you don't have one of those. Rivet puller, probably everybody's got one of those things laying around, and just the ratchet with a 7mm on it. So getting ready to go underneath the car and take those bolts out, and then hang this rocker there. So I took the existing 5 screws supplied by GM out of the bottom of the car. There were, I think, 3 in the front and 2 in the back, and then hung the new piece of rocker from ACS, and their layout's really good. I mean, there's no positioning of this thing. Basically, you just put the screws in the holes and tighten it back up, and it positions itself very well, and it fits beautifully. So great job, ACS. So right now it's just 5 screws in there, and you can see if you push on this a little bit, it's on there pretty well. You get out in the middle, it'll move pretty well. And then the back, it moves pretty well too. So I'll go ahead and be drilling the holes for the rivets on the flat part underneath, and then on the angled part, I'll be using double-sided tape there. Well, doing the fit up on the car, I got to looking closely at this area here. The rocker's gone now, but it seemed like there was a gap right about in here. And as I checked the back end of the car, I could see that the rocker was sticking back past flush at the rear quarter panel. And so some of the ACS literature mentions sometimes have to trim the front edge of the rocker, and I think I'm going to need to do that to mine to make it work. So I marked it with a piece of white tape here, and basically I'm just going to be taking a belt sander and trimming this back right in there a little bit to make it fit better. That can be done a lot of different ways. I'm going to use a belt sander, but you could use files, a Dremel tool, or a lot of different things to trim that back. One thing I probably forgot to mention is I had previously installed the ACS front splash guards, and a lot of people thought that that was enough to keep debris off the sides of the car, but I really found out that that's not true. So what I was doing was fitting the front edge of the rocker right here to the ACS splash guard. And when I was doing that, basically I determined that I needed to trim back the front edge of the rocker about 1/8 of an inch to allow this whole assembly to slide forward and fit better. Once I did that, it meshed up at the back end a lot better too. So don't be afraid of trimming these just a little bit if that's what it takes to make everything line up well. Trimming the front edge of this basically made this gap come down to next to nothing, so that when I put my double-sided tape in there, everything should line up pretty well. So at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and drill the rivet holes on the bottom side. So I'll try to get a little video drilling one of these holes underneath the car. You can see I've got my drill bit here. I think it's a number 12 bit, isn't it? Yeah, which is just 1/1000th, yeah, number 12 bit. So that's 1/1000th of an inch bigger than a rivet. And I've got a bunch of washers stacked on there for a drill stop, so I don't drill too deep into there. And so there's the hole right there. I've got to drill that. So that's all there is to it. Well, it's always a little bit dangerous when you start stepping outside the instructions. ACS does not recommend using double-sided tape, and I think there's some good reasons for that. For one thing, it's hard to mess up pop rivets or blind rivets. You drill a hole, you put it in, and you pull the rivet, and you're done. With tape, everything's got to be in alignment before you stick it, because once you stick it, there's no repositioning it. Now, this is some 3M tape. It's 1/2 inch wide, and it's 0.045 thick, and it's specifically made to do what I'm going to try to do. So I went ahead and put a piece of the tape on the car, and you can see I tried to put it right just slightly below the panel fold line right here, just about maybe 1/16th or 1/8 of an inch below that. I left a little pull tag there, so we're ready to the place now where we're ready to finish the installation. We can put it up there, run the factory screws back in there, and pull the rivets, and then pull that little flap on the tape and push this thing up into the tape and hope that we got it right. Well, once you have the part back on the car and the 5 factory screws back in the bottom side of it, you know that it's pretty well in alignment. It's not going to shift on you anymore. So at that point, you can grab the little flap that you left back there and pull that tape on out. And at that point, you're ready to go ahead and push the part up into the double-sided tape. So I'll turn off the camera and do that. So I thought I'd show you the fun of putting one of the pulled rivets in. I've got just enough room to get this rivet puller underneath the car. And that's kind of why I call these somewhat foolproof, really. You put it in there, you pull it, it snaps, it's done. That's why people like them. Well, this project's half done. Actually, I've got the left side totally done. So it's held on with 5 factory screws, 4 short pop rivets or pulled rivets, and about 6.5 feet of 1/2 inch double-sided 3M tape. And I'm very happy with the results. I like the double-sided tape because if I ever have to take the part back off, I can get it apart. If you Google removing double-sided tape, there's a lot of ways to get double-sided tape off. And if you can see that, the black just kind of goes away a little bit, but I'm really happy with the way it looks. It seems to be very firm where the double-sided tape is at. It fits well at the back end. It fits well at the front end. I took way too much time to do this. Did a video that I hope other people enjoy watching. And so tomorrow we'll do the passenger side.